calling all psychonauts. May you enjoy the days through the haze. Enjoy what is now. This episode of the Slightly Fuzzed podcast is sponsored by Bud Tea Company, a cannabis apparel brand from Maine. Check them out at budteeco.com. That's BUDTEECO.com. Or follow them on Instagram at budteeco. Tell them Slightly Fuzzed sent you. Okay, Blake Carrera. Aiwass. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Aiwass. I had been saying it as Aiwass for like 5 months now, so
it's one of those things that I don't even know how you're actually supposed to pronounce it. So I go with Aiwass. But you know, if someone says something otherwise, you know, it's far from the end of the world.
We'll stick with Aiwass unless I just forget halfway through this. But
no worries.
Thanks for being here, man. I'm excited to talk to you. You just put out Wayward Gods. When this drops, will have been out for a week. So congrats, man.
Fuck yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'm also excited because we're going to play Man is God, the music video that you have. And Man is God is my favorite track off the album. It's also kind of how we met, how we started talking to each other on Instagram and such. You only had a few singles out at the time. This is like, I don't know, 5 months ago or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
I heard Man is God. Honestly, I was almost a little scared to check out your music. The logo is a little black metal for me. I was hesitant. I was like, I don't know, probably not going to be for me. But I don't know. The stars were in alignment that day, and I checked it out and loved Man is God. I loved it. And I sent you a message and told you how much I loved it. And, you know, we've been chit-chatting here and there ever since. So you never know how social media is going to work. But
it's a wild beast.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out, man.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad that, you know, 5 months later, you have this album out and you let me give it a couple listens. And it's great, dude. I've said this before a few times, but like the real... like doomy stuff, the real slow stuff is not always my thing. And I think I even told you that when I first messaged you, was like, I come from a way more like desert rock, stoner rock kind of area. And I as I've gone through all of this stuff, I've gotten more and more into that music. And I ended up just absolutely loving the album, dude. And it's hard to kind of define. How would you define it?
Man, I don't know. A lot of times I get kind of described as psych doom, which I'm super fine with that being, you know, if I'm designated as some kind of genre, that one works for me. You know, I come from, you know, a big background in stoner rock and desert rock, stuff like that. Just as much as I do, you know, in terms of a background of listening to doom. So really they're both big influences on me. I wouldn't necessarily put one even above the other. You know, like Caius is one of the most important bands in terms of who I am as a musician and as a guitar player. And you know, that's the definition of stoner rock, desert rock.
I saw a description of your music on Doomed and Stoned, and it's like the best description of any sort of music. So I'm going to read it. It probably came from you, or I think it came from you. But psychedelic blues and ominous doom through the bloodshot eyes of Aleister Crowley is the coolest description of any music ever. So if anyone's listening, they haven't heard you yet, that just sold them right there.
Yeah, that one took a while. I went through a few different Instagram, you know, bios before I got to that one. Yeah, I was in line at Taco Bell talking to a friend of mine on Instagram, and I was like, "What do you think about this if I change my bio?" And he was like, "Yes, 100%, go with it."
Dude, yeah, you definitely nailed it. I love it. And how can you not want to check that out if you listen to that?
I think it's pretty appealing. I also think it describes the music pretty well. You know,
it does though, because for me, like thinking that like the logo is black metal and then not really loving like just real slow doom, and then hearing your music and then reading that description, it all makes sense, and I'm like,
Yeah, man.
that's the only way to describe it, which is
Yeah, that was the goal.
yeah. So what's it like being a solo band? Do you call it a solo band?
I call
Or
it a
do you play all the instruments, or are you just kind of creating the music
yeah.
and you have studio people with you? Or
No, while I'm expanding the band right now, I'm actually playing with some guys, getting ready to get ready for hitting the stage live. I played everything myself. I programmed the drums. I sang. I wrote the lyrics. I played the guitar. Played bass. When you hear strings or an organ, I programmed that as well. So yeah, it was just me. It's a very solitary experience. I'll
yeah,
definitely say that. It's much more fun to play in a band. Um, but I think some of the kind of, I don't know if I'd say loneliness, but that's probably the best word for it, of doing it all by yourself comes out in the album a little bit, I think, in some of that darkness. I mean, I think it's a pretty fucking dark album.
yeah.
It doesn't bring to mind flowers and butterflies per se.
Right. I there is a huge difference, and I'm not much of a musician myself, but just jamming with people and being in a room
Yeah.
and just like having some beers and creating something, even if it sucks, just having fun is a whole experience in and of itself. But the part that has always intrigued me the most is like going into a studio and like just tinkering, just messing around with stuff and making like this song. So like
Hmm.
you kind of get best of both worlds. I mean, it's all of your work. It's all of your ideas and creativity that comes together in
Yeah.
this, and you can go in the studio and work it out. But then to have a people that you're putting together to try to play it live and stuff like that, like, and I'm sure, and I know you've been in other bands, so you know
Hmm.
do you have a preference? Do you like working solo, or is it the band just more fun? What was it about this project also that you were just like, I'm doing this. I don't want anyone else's input. I don't want to hear what
Yeah.
you think to go where, and this is mine.
Dude, that part at very least, that came out of just, bare fucking necessity. I was living
Was this
in
like a pandemic project, or was this before all that?
it was partially pandemic. I mean, I've been working on some of these songs for years. This is my roots. I finally started making the music that I always wanted to make, because I've been doing just different stuff that it never felt right, and this just felt right. But I was also living in, a small mountain town where there wasn't much of a metal scene, where there weren't really, many, people playing this type of stuff. If they were playing metal, they were playing stuff that sounded, a lot closer to like Anthrax or something like that, sped up, or deathcore, stuff like that. Um, and so I was just like, I have these sounds in my head, and I want to get them out of my head. So it was almost more out of necessity than anything else. Since I moved down to Phoenix, the scene here is fucking sick. For people who haven't really checked out some of the bands from Phoenix, like we've got a really, really vibrant scene.
I've seen the name come up a few times, and maybe not Phoenix necessarily specifically, but at least Arizona. I mean, I know Grail is from there, and
Dude, yeah,
um,
Grail.
and we've talked
I've
about Lost Dutchman and a few others. So you've definitely got some
yeah.
bands in there.
Yeah, no, there's some really great bands. Mosara is amazing. Loserfer, I could go on for a real long time. The dudes in Grail, they're blowing up. I've probably seen them 3 or 4 times since I moved down here. They're really great guys too.
What is the venue
Um,
down there? What's it called? Is it Yucca?
so that's kind of the free show venue.
Okay.
That's where Planet Mammoth does a lot of stuff there. Really great kind of promotion production company. Uh, you know, and they're putting on great shows.
Yeah,
They got a festival
I see that
coming up
all
in
the time.
February.
All the
Yeah,
bands that
yeah,
I
yeah.
follow on Instagram and stuff, someone is there like every week putting on killer shows. Like bands that I would like travel to go see are just always at this place just playing all the time. I'm like, Jesus.
Oh yeah, dude. And it's not that big of a venue.
Yeah.
It's really a bar and a pinball place. Um, and it's got a nice stage. But one of the things that really works for it is it's got really fucking sick acoustics. Like bands just sound great there. And the lighting's really good too. I love Yucca. It's become kind of part of a bit of local controversy because of the vaccine or negative test mandate they have. I don't mean to get like all political or whatever. I feel good going there personally. So that's an appeal to it. But yeah, Yucca's the shit. But we've got several really good metal venues in town. And a lot of really great bands are coming. Like I'm seeing Meshuggah, I'm seeing Monolord, I'm seeing All Them Witches.
Nice.
It's a great town for music.
And you have Alice Cooper's hot dog place.
Yes.
Yeah,
he lives in Scottsdale, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been down there a couple times for spring training for the Cubs, and just went down there to party and watch baseball. And one day we went out to
hit up Mill
go
Ave, I'm guessing.
Well, where do they play? What's is it Tempe or one of those places?
Yeah, in Tempe, and the big party row is Mill Ave down there. That's where the college students go and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure we've been there, and I've probably forgotten what happened. But
it's a place that you forget what you did.
Yeah. We did go to Phoenix, and we did go to Alice Cooper's. It's weird. It's like Alice Cooper mixed with baseball or something, right? And hot dogs.
I think so. I've only been once, I think, and it was a while back when I first moved to Arizona.
Yeah, this was like, I don't know, 10 years ago now or something, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a unique place.
Yeah. So what are the plans for playing live then? You said you're putting some guys together. Have you tried to play anything on your own, or has it just been like a studio project?
Man, you're looking at the studio. I'm in it. I'm at my recording desk. I've got my studio monitors and everything. I've got my guitars behind me and everything. I've got a bunch of guitars over to my right. It was all here. Now a lot of the stuff that I'm working on right now, I've actually been workshopping with the guys that I'm playing with. It's sounding really, really cool, man. It's a really surreal, amazing experience to hear your music be played live with other dudes. To hear just that roar of a guitar cabinet and a bass cabinet, playing your music it's amazing. There's nothing that really can compare. Vinyl's pretty close.
It must be a little strange to hear it all at once, because you've been hearing it one instrument at a time until you put it into the computer, right? And
yeah,
hear it kind of out in the air for the first time. It's got to be kind of strange.
Well, that's how I compose it in my head. I'm making up each of the instruments one by one. And my writing process is kind of weird. It's really segmented. So I'll have an idea on either bass or guitar. I'll write the verse or the chorus, let's say. Sometimes I start with a bridge, to be honest. And I record that one bit. I program the drums so that I have essentially a metronome. I'm really big on drums. I love loud drums, as you can hear when you listen to the album. But like when I play live or when I'm playing with other people, like the drummers who I vibe with musically the most. That's kind of the root of it. and so I need that metronome. I'm one of those types of guitar players that I need a drummer.
What happens when you get these guys on board with the band and it's time to start writing the second album? Are you gonna like Dave Mustaine this thing and be like, listen, you just play what the fuck I tell you to play. This is my band. This is my music.
No, I've made it clear to the guys I'm working with that, you know, if they really want to do this, that I'd like to make this a truly collaborative process. You know, it'll always be to a certain extent my band, you know, just because I created it, I started it, and everything like that. I, you know, wrote the first album entirely myself. Really, the only help I had was like art and mastering. Yeah. But no, the second album, you know, I'm working on a split right now. But the second full length album will be much more collaboratively written. It's the plan.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And what's your projection for like a live show? 6 months from now, a month from now, a week from now?
I wish it was a week from now, man.
Yeah.
But probably early 2022.
Cool.
That's kind of the goal right now.
Yeah. So just to get people up to speed here, let's play Man Is God. Let's play this music video and show everyone what we're talking about, huh? All right, man. Is it weird sitting here and listening to your own songs in front of people? Do you get weirded out by hearing your own voice and stuff?
Especially in front of other people, yeah, it's a little weird.
They're just sitting there like judging you or something.
Yeah, I think that much as a musician is one of the most exhibitionist identities that you can possibly have, because you're just like, listen to me, listen to me. There's also a certain amount of insecurity that comes from being a musician. It's just
Sure.
weird.
Yeah.
But I love it, man. I love knowing that people are listening to it and it's connecting with people.
Yeah. I've said this before, but I still get weirded out by like hearing my own voice on like a voicemail. So the fact that I'm sitting here doing a podcast,
Oh
and
yeah,
then I have to edit it later and like listen to it like 3 times, 4 times.
dude, that's my nightmare. I hate the sound of my speaking voice. I'm fine with the sound of my singing voice. You know, but it's still weird. I've gotten at least used to the sound of my voice when I'm singing. But speaking, I'll never get used to it.
So what's the story behind the Man as God video? Who'd you work with on that, and is there a
Yeah.
story behind all that?
Yeah, I worked with Hellcat Productions, which is Corey Cowley and her collaborator who was really kind of one of the masterminds behind this video. It was really the three of us working together. But Newbie, shot it, directed it, came up with some really great ideas. I always pronounce her name fucking wrong, so I never tried. I always call her Newbie. But I had the idea of the statue, and kind of the Greek goddess vibe to it, and really we bounced around a lot of ideas on FaceTime, just kind of talking about what we could do, what would work with the song, and so it was a really collaborative effort. Corey, who you see in the video, her Instagram is I believe it's pronounced Folium Discognitum too. She's a really great horror writer as well, but she's a big Instagram presence. And she kind of has taken me under her wing, always promoting me and another band called Utter Scorn. He does death metal. We kind of feel like her adopted children, of the internet. So it was really, really, really cool to actually get to work with her. And actually the insert that comes with the vinyl has artwork that she did. That it was a picture that she created. She has a lot of like really cool horror art. And then my friends over at Monster Riff kind of modified it and really helped with the design. And Newbie's an amazing makeup artist, so she did all the makeup for it as well. So it was a low budget, but I'm really proud of it.
Cool. Yeah. So speaking of artwork, let's talk about the album cover. It's Steven Yoyada, right?
Yeah.
I think he's been brought up on like at least half of the podcasts I've done so far.
Dude, he's a presence.
Yeah. Sure. And your album also has boobs on it, which is cool.
Yeah, boobs are good.
So, what's the story behind that? aside from Yoyada just being a badass, what's the story behind the album artwork?
Yeah, there's a couple different concepts. The background has the desert in it and the mountains, which the album was made between Flagstaff and Phoenix. There's kind of a circular aspect to it as well, which reflects the order of the songs on the album. There's like a continuation of a kind of spiral of sorts that Steven did that Monster have added onto the back, because if you get the vinyl, you actually get to see what the full album artwork is because it's expanded onto there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one advantage to it. but you know, the album, in terms of the order of the songs, it starts at the almost the end of the journey, and it ends with the beginning of the journey. So wanted to kind of create that circular aspect to it. And then the woman on the front, you know, is supposed to represent just, you know, kind of, a lot of this is so influenced by the occult and by Aleister Crowley and Colin Wilson, another really great occult thinker that more people need to read, if they're into the occult. But you know, this idea of a goddess with the pentagrams, you know, carved into her arms, something very strange and kind of supernatural in a seemingly natural space, was really kind of the idea behind it.
I saw in that Doomed and Stoned piece on you, it mentioned that like wayward represents like or literally means like unpredictable, and God kind of meaning, you know, yourself, I guess, right? I mean, all of us are our own gods, and like even that title, just unpredictable gods. I was like, oh man, that's cool too. Like, you know, just not understanding what's gonna happen, or not knowing what's gonna happen, or being your own god, and all that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about that philosophy behind the music and Aleister Crowley, because, you know, we talked a little bit about it behind the scenes, and I told you that I had picked up the Book of Law, whatever that is actually called, translates to Book of Law, right? Something like that.
Book of the Law, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's Liber Alvagus or Lagus, something like that.
Is that kind of like his big book? Is that the one everyone starts with, or what? I don't remember how I picked that one. But
that's the essentials. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. You know, if you're gonna read Crowley, you got to start with Book of the Law, and probably, you know, if you read it the first time and you don't hate the idea of reading it 2 or 3 times, you read it 2 or 3 times, and it starts.
It's actually one of those books that I picked up on audiobook on Audible, and I thought that it would make it a little bit easier to understand. I thought it would, someone saying it to me, I thought I would be able to just kind of understand a little bit more. And I don't remember how far I got, and I was like, I have to restart this thing every 10 minutes because I'm lost, and I think I gave up on it.
Yeah.
but I've always been super interested in the idea of it. And like back in college, I bought Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible, and just because I have like a dark curiosity, you know, like I just like weird stuff.
Totally, dude.
Like reading stuff that other people are not like ready to check out yet, you know. And I remember reading it and kind of almost like laughing to myself, because the way he writes, I don't know if you've read it or not, but it's kind of, it's almost goofy how he writes it. It's not like a biblical book that's very like like, I don't know, professional. It's not written very like the way you would expect a Bible to be written. There's like
it's super tongue in cheek
points. It's like him going like, we're not going to do that, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And it's just like, you can tell it's like, it's almost like a journal of his that he's just writing these ideas down. And but I also remember like leaving it in my dorm room when people would come over, and people would just be like, what the fuck is that? You know? But I just loved that. I just loved like weirding people out with weird shit, you know? So anyway, I was super interested.
Welcome to my apartment. I've got so much fucking morbid shit all around this place. Like I've got, you know, a bunch of Baphomets, and, you know, I've got a bone hanging on the wall behind me. You know, I've got like this weird, you know, kind of sculpture thing, electric wizard. Like my walking into my apartment, it's certainly an experience. It's mostly a bunch of books and guitars more than anything else, but the artwork is a little different.
So explain to me how you got into Aleister Crowley and some of that kind of that philosophy and some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then how does it apply to the music, and how what was the influence on that kind of stuff too?
Totally. Yeah. The real answer to that's a little embarrassing, I guess, is I had an ex-girlfriend that bought me a copy of Book of the Law because I was into the Satanic Bible, and I was, you know, metal and just kind of weird shit, horror movies, whatever,
Yeah.
true crime, all that stuff. Anything that spooks the general populace, I guess, is
Right.
is
Yeah. I'm
something
with
that
you.
I find pretty appealing.
Yeah.
Um, um, but I read Book of the Law the first time, and I was like, "What the fuck was that?" And so then I decided, I'm curious. Like when I was in college, I was like a class or two short of a philosophy minor, so I was used to kind of that type of writing in a way, or at least that type of mental process, where you have to really pick apart sentence by sentence, word by word, and kind of go in opposite directions even sometimes. um so I just started reading it, a couple more times, and some of it really started to connect. Then I started reading some of his other books,
What
some of
about it
his.
was connecting? I mean, what is he saying in this book that you're like not getting in other ways, in other places, in other books?
I mean, just on the surface level, it felt so fucking metal.
Yeah.
I mean, Ozzy sang a song, where, that's, I mean, we literally changed how we said the dude's name because of an Ozzy song,
Yeah.
and this was the quote unquote most wicked man in the world for like 30 years.
Right.
Um, but in terms of his philosophy, for me, it was really, there's certain catchphrases that you'll hear a lot, like, we are all stars, for example, which was kind of the inspiration originally for Man as God. It was kind of a mixture of reading that and then reading Colin Wilson's The Occult, which is a really, really dope book. That kind of shed some light on making what Curly was saying a little clearer. Because ultimately, if you boil it down, it's the idea of, because this factors into my stuff a lot. I really love like Jungian psychology. It's just really interesting to me. The Red Book is really, really cool. Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. I'm a big reader. um, and this idea of, if you raise the unconscious to the level of consciousness, you reach a super consciousness, which is essentially, in a nutshell, what Crowley was trying to get us to do. To start thinking about things in different ways, to start thinking more analytically. Like for a while, I was teaching college students, believe it or not, when I was a grad student. And part of it was just teaching them how to write papers, essentially. And I was always like, write analytically, think analytically. And, I had this big background in that. And I read Crowley, and it was essentially just saying, like, hey, start thinking about how you can improve yourself, because what else do we have in the world besides, you know, improving ourselves and bettering ourselves?
So what made him
I'm
a dark figure then? What about this is so dark and occult-ish?
probably the heroin and sex magic. I mean, it's really metal shit if you read it. It just sounds cool for one. Like I have this will actually this is apropos, I guess. I have a big old book of Crowley stuff. It's pretty massive. I'm working through that one right now, but everything in there, it just sounds like it has so much weight, so much gravity, and that's kind of metal if you boil it down. It's hefty music, which is what makes it so unique and so special, and so, in my opinion, beautiful and personal. I think metal is about as good as it gets.
As I was describing Man as God, and Wayward Gods kind of like Back to You, as I was saying it, it did kind of remind me of the Satanic Bible, because just being your own God, I think, is kind of how he described it anyway, because he didn't.
Did 100%. Yeah.
So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but as I was describing it back to you, I was like, that sounds an awful lot like Anton LaVey anyway. But
yeah, I've spent some time with the Satanic Bible. I
but he was a lot more outright about, like, whatever they, as in like Christians, are telling you, I want to do like the opposite. And he was like, spelling it out very clearly like that, in a very gradual way. Whereas like the Crowley stuff, I'm not getting the dark sense of it yet. Like Anton LaVey was
calling himself the Great Beast 666 isn't quite dark enough for you.
Well, I don't know what stuff, so that's what I'm asking. Like,
yeah, dark, dude. I'll get your address, and I'll send you a couple things that I think you'll really dig.
I'll have to put my headphones on and like really buckle down on the Book of Law again. I'll give it another shot here one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, some of it sounds kind of, a lot of it was really big with hippies because they misread it. Like, I'm not necessarily a big hippie guy, but they read "Love is the law, love under will," and they were like, "Yeah, love," which is not quite how you should read it, really, in my opinion. Everyone, I think Crowley would have said that you should read it how you need to read it, just like LaVey would have said the same thing, I think, about the Satanic Bible. Just get out of it what you can and what matters to you. But yeah, man, I don't know. Something about Crowley, when I read it, I feel like I'm really in touch with something. And then that's where the fucking name of this project comes from. I
was going to ask too, because as I was looking up how to pronounce Aiwass, I was like, oh, there's Aleister Crowley's name. Like that. Now it's all making sense. It's all getting back together. Now I get it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it was the voice, essentially, of what he referred to as his holy guardian angel, which sounds super Christian. So it's, but you get there. Essentially of this supreme power that started dictating to him the Book of the Law and changed his entire outlook on things. And it was a very creative voice. And I felt a creative voice, inside of me that was giving me these songs. And so it felt appropriate.
Do you have any like modern today's philosophers or authors that you're into to this level, or do you pretty much stick with these couple guys?
For the occult, I like a lot of the older stuff. Like I just finished reading like a 400-page book from the 19th century by this guy named Eliphas Levi. That was pretty crazy. But there are some really, really great philosophers. There's actually a dude that you should check out, called Eugene Thacker is his name. And one of his books is essentially a philosophical examination of the occult, of metal, and of horror movies. So that one's really fucking cool. I think that Eugene Thacker is just a genius. He teaches at a college up in New York City, I think.
Oh, okay. So, this guy's still out and about.
Yeah, I think he's actually a pretty young guy. I think he's like in his 40s.
Some of the stuff about like self-improvement and stuff sounds, like Jordan Peterson-esque. Do you like fuck with stuff like that? Do you know Jordan Peterson? No.
Yeah, I would not say that I really agree with Jordan Peterson on much.
I mean, he's got some religious things that is probably a pretty far cry from some of the stuff you read.
Yeah, Yeah. When I talk about self-improvement, I don't mean it in like some kind of raise yourself up by the fucking bootstraps type of way. I don't mean it in a capitalist type of description. I mean it more in terms of a like a philosophical, metaphysical way. Like some of us are just always going to be fucked with a job that we fucking hate, or that it's a job that doesn't pay enough, for example. But that's sometimes things happen and that's how it ends up, and it sucks, and that's really unfair, and I hate that. But what I mean by self-improvement is things like um, I'm always trying to keep my brain sharp. And so I'm always reading things that are outside of my comfort zone, for example. Like right now, I'm reading Paradise Lost and a bunch of weird occult stuff because I want to keep sharp and keep growing as a person. And so I see self-improvement less in terms of like money or station, and more in terms of growth as a person. Um, and what that can do to help other people. I mean, Crowley has helped me.
Okay, so let's bring it back to the music.
Yeah.
How does this philosophical stuff and these specific figures apply to the album or specific songs or your just music in general?
The whole album is essentially a mixture of equal parts Aleister Crowley, Carl Jung, and me talking about being bipolar. That's the album. Shit, these fucking AirPods, man.
Yeah.
But I was essentially trying to get out some ideas as I was processing the occult. I was trying to process some of the stuff that I was reading that my fucking therapist, recommended to me. He was like, "Give this a try. You're a reader. See what happens." And I was trying to work through a lot of really difficult shit that was happening in my life. Life as a whole is going to throw you a fuck ton of challenges, man. Sorry, I'm swearing so much. I have a mouth like a sailor. I never swear on the album. It's the
this is probably one
wild
of the
part.
least cuss-filled episodes I've had, so don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah, I've definitely heard some episodes where it was there. I just wanted to make sure that I was good. I've been having to ask podcasts as I've been on them, like, "Hey, is it cool?"
Yeah.
But I was trying to process all of those things, and I was going through a lot while I was writing the album, both lyrically and musically. Like Call of the Siren, I was having one of the lowest points in my life. And that's why that song sounds so fucking dismal. I almost threw that song away, actually. And then I hit up my best friend and I was like, "Hey, am I on to something, or is this too miserable?" And he was like, "No, no, no, you gotta keep this. You have to keep this." Um, you know, and Titan, the opener, is a song about healing and feeling better about your position in life. Um, and Man is God and From Chains. I mean, From Chains is pretty much just about, if you boil down to it, it's looking at the manic experience through the eyes of the occult. So it's really personal to me, I guess. It's very hard to release these songs out into the world.
Is it? Yeah. How does it feel? Like, do you feel like you're exposing yourself, or, I mean, a lot of people listen to music and just take it at surface value, and they don't read anything deeper into it. They might, even if they understand the words that you're saying or read the lyrics, which most don't in the first place, they probably won't even look that far into it. they'll listen to it
Yeah.
on a personal level for themselves anyway. First, they're not going to think about you necessarily. Do you feel exposed when you put out an album like this? Do you feel like people are knowing too much about you, or does it feel good and you just go, people don't give a shit and they're just gonna listen to it?
Dude, it's like a mixture. I've made a lot of really good friends through my music. Like some really close friends are people that I've made friendships with through just talking all the time on DMs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And one of my close friend, Vinny Tobner, who's actually he does the last guitar solo
I wanted to
on
ask
From
you, yeah, I wanted
Chains.
to ask you about him and how he got on there, because I've followed him for a while now and curious how
Dude,
that
yeah.
relationship play. He's not Arizona, is he, or is he?
No, he's in Ohio.
Okay.
But he kind of took me under his wing from literally day one, like literally the day that I created an Instagram and started trying to find, like what was the doom metal artist world like, because I followed it
Yeah.
on my personal Instagram, but
Yeah.
not as much as I do now, obviously, but now that I'm kind of entrenched in it. But
Same.
no, he took me he took me under his wing and was like, "You're doing everything wrong," in the nicest way possible, but he was like, "You're doing everything wrong." And I wrote From Chains, and I knew there had to be a really emotional and almost violent sounding solo at the end. Because that song is literally about feeling manic and what that is like, and that's why it has ups, it has downs, it's huge, it's overwhelming. The lyrics are literally just narrating through an occult lens what it's like to be manic. And Vinny and I are both pretty honest about our mental health. Because the way I think both of us see it is that if I can be honest about my mental health and that helps one person,
Yeah.
that's worth the awkwardness. So then I hit him up and I was like, "Hey man, I've got this song. I want you to listen to it. I wrote a section that is at the end that needs a guitar solo, and I can't do it right because I tried and I just couldn't capture what I had in my head." And I sent Vinny the lyrics and I told him what I was thinking about, and he was like, "Okay, let me record a couple takes." And so he did. He sent me a couple of them, and the one that's on the album was the one he was like, "Listen to this one first. I think this is the better one, and I think this is what you're going to want to go with." And I heard it, and I never looked back. I thought it was perfect.
Nice.
And I've had people reach out to me and say that From Chains, meant something to them, and that's more a reward than anything else.
Yeah. Outweighs any awkwardness that might have come about for any reason. Makes it,
dude. Yeah,
worth it, at least.
If I'm honest about my struggles with mental health, that can only help someone else.
Mm-hmm.
As I've started to get somewhat of a following, it's something that I try to be honest and real about. Is the way I see it is there might be someone who sees one of my posts that gets help or something because they need it.
Yeah.
So I see it as I'm willing to put up with that awkwardness because I have a bit of a platform. I make music and I make what I think at least is pretty good music. So if someone can get something out of it and someone can feel like they're less alone, or maybe they reach out to someone and say, "Hey, I'm feeling this way," fuck it, worth it.
Yeah. I think more and more people are doing that nowadays. I mean, you know, as taboo as that might have
Oh
been
yeah.
50 years ago and then 20 years ago, and now it's like I think everyone's pretty comfortable, you know, with what they're going. Sometimes a little too comfortable, probably.
Sometimes a little too comfortable, yeah.
I think that it's definitely an improvement over, you know, 50 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I mean, fuck it. I have no shame. I see a therapist every week. You know, I'm not a big crier, but that I wish I cried more. You know, it's
Yeah,
fine to have feelings, everyone.
right. So we're almost up on an hour. Do you want to cleanse the palate and do Real or Fuzzed real quick?
Dude, we can whatever you want to do. I'm just having a great time.
Me too. We could probably make this a long episode, but I usually
Dude,
I'm
go
around
for
an
it.
hour. But
If you have other questions you wanted to go for, I'm just having fun chatting back and forth.
I love hearing the stuff. The rest of the questions I kind of wrote down are like super random. We kind of hit on this stuff about the album and the occult and philosophy and all that kind of stuff that I really wanted to talk about. The rest are super random, but let's see how Real or Fuzz goes.
Okay. I'm actually I've been nervous as fuck about this because I feel like people do so well at this.
No.
and I feel like I'm gonna be absolutely horrible at it.
No, this is the easy one. You know, when you have a whole band on here, sometimes I make them do the fuzz round where I just put up a picture and you have to be funny. You have to make a funny album title. And
I would have just given up if you'd done that to me.
I do that to people when they're like in a band. There's like 3 or 4 people. I'll do that to them because they kind of like feed off of each other. But I'm awkward enough, like on my own, that if someone did that to me, I'd be like, I'm out of here, dude. Fuck this, you know. So I'm not gonna do that.
I'd feel the pressure just mount massively.
No, this is the easy one. I'm gonna give you the easy game, and this is a good one. Like I said, this is a good Real or Fuzz. It might be my favorite. First
I'm
one.
excited.
So anyway, just to set the stage, if anyone hasn't seen this before, I'm going to show 10 album covers one at a time, and you have to tell me if they're real or fuzzed. This is a real special version of Real or Fuzzed. First one, Three-Way Come.
I would bet money that this is real.
This is real.
Like, yeah, as soon as I saw it, one, it's really, really good. Like in terms of the actual drawing itself, I was like, I would have a hard time believing that you would spend that much time drawing that one.
Right.
Just for Real or Fuzz.
If I were to make this, if I were to make something called Three-Way Come, it would probably just be like 3 dudes coming on each other. It wouldn't have this like artistic
bottle
vision.
of mayonnaise or something.
It wouldn't have this like artistic twist to it like this person did.
Yeah. No, I dig that one. Oh man, Boned. Up at the. Oh man, it's like a mixture of White Snake and AC/DC.
Yeah.
I hope it's not offensive to say that I hope that this is fuzzed.
I wish this was fuzzed. This is real.
No fucking way.
Yeah. I don't know what it sounds like. I meant to check this one out at some point and actually see what it sounds like. It's got to be some sort of AC/DC twist, right? But I haven't heard it yet. It's real.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's not Up the Crack.
That would have been good.
Yeah. You know, Up at the Crack. What does that even fucking mean, dude?
I don't know.
I'm surprised Gibson. I guess they only have half the Gibson logo there. I'm surprised that Gibson didn't freak the fuck out. It's a little surprising
that they left the Gibson on there, though. Yeah, I mean, they could have just easily photoshopped that out.
Yeah, dude. Shit.
Hate Inc. Get Fisted.
Wow. That's something. God, I feel like I'm just gonna be so wrong every time. I'm gonna guess Fuzzed.
This is Fuzzed.
Okay. Whoo. Glad. All right. I was like,
Meat shit.
shit, man. Meat shits.
Get
Get
ready to
ready.
shave pussy.
This one's totally real.
This is real. Yeah.
This one's totally real, and I really want this. I hope this is like a 7-inch. Like
This is like the second, maybe third time I've had meat shits on this game. Always a
meat
different album.
shits, you know.
They have a great
They chose
collection.
they chose a relatable name, and
I love that question too. Get ready to shave pussy?
yeah, with the question, it's the question mark.
Not sure, just asking.
Oh boy.
Dog shit sandwich. Murdering bastards.
Man, I'm gonna say this is real.
This is real.
Yeah. I'm really hearing like a hardcore punk band, like very Dead
Gotta
Kennedy
be.
style.
Gotta be. Satan was a lesbian.
Man, I feel like this was like 1950s pulp like fiction book cover instead of an album cover. Does that count as fake?
You're 100%
shit.
right, by the way. You're already 100% right. It would literally
Okay.
was like a pulp, not novel. I don't know what you call it. So technically, I guess it's Fuzzed, but it's very much real. I don't know. It's not a musical album, but it's very much a real thing that I did very little to. So
Yeah, you tricked me. You tried to trick me on that one, but I feel like I
think I'll
stepped
give it
up
to
my
you.
game.
Yeah, I think I'll give that one to you. The Heaney Boys fingered it out.
I love everything about this. I wish that I had just done this for my album cover. I look great in leather. I'm gonna guess this is real.
This is real, I guess. I don't.
Yeah,
Wasn't me.
I've seen some like really bad translation, T-shirts and stuff. A friend of mine did a semester abroad in Taiwan, and he had some pretty amusing English translations that he would send pictures of.
Yeah.
And this immediately reminded me of that.
What's interesting about this one is that one, they're clearly children, but
Yeah,
the photo is actually abnormally clear for an album like this. Normally, it's like some small little thumbnail. That's all I can find. This is like a very clear. It's a good picture, which doesn't make any
yeah.
sense. I don't understand. Like
It reminds me of what is it? Immortals, Sons of Northern Darkness. I feel like is what they were inspired by.
yeah, and there's nothing sexual about the cover, but they called it "fingered it out." So I
Yeah,
don't
no, there's nothing sexual. Luckily,
yeah.
I guess he's got his devil horns, but
Anyway,
unfortunate.
that's a real one. Shh, Satan is coming.
This reminds me. I lived in Iowa when I was in high school, and there was a gas station chain called Come and Go.
I live in Illinois. So I know it very well. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So it wasn't just an Iowa thing. Okay. Yeah. That was endless laughter as a stoned high schooler.
They probably made
I'm
more
gonna
from merch
get,
than they did with gas.
dude. Right. I'm gonna guess that this is technically fuzzed.
It is Fuzz. Yeah.
Damn, I'm actually doing better than I thought.
You're
Fuck.
doing really good. You're doing really good, actually. Yeah.
Every time I watch one of these, I'm terrible. Oh, this is real. This has got to be real. This
Why are you so
I
sure?
would bet money that this is real, dude. Like everything about this says a mixture of deathcore and new metal, and everything about it says that it's real.
All right,
Because
for the people
yeah,
listening, this is called regurgitated or regurgitate. Carnivorous Erection is the name of the album, and this was
you know
like
the
my
other reason that
home
I
run.
think. Oh, you create this is Fuzzed?
No. This is real.
Oh, okay.
But I thought
Okay.
if anything, I would get you on this one.
Dude, you
This
know
one's a
how I knew that
masterpiece.
it wasn't you?
Wow.
It was regurgitate as opposed to regurgitate.
Yeah,
And
you're
I
probably
feel
right.
like your sense of humor, you would have made it regurgitate.
Yeah. You probably have a point there. But I mean, I just came across this album cover and I was like, holy shit. This
Where
is
do
like
you
the
find this
holy
shit,
this is
dude?
like the holy grail of bad album covers. I was shocked when I saw this thing. I was like, "Oh man, this is the
I'm
one.
gonna
This is gonna be my
listen
home
to
run."
this. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to this album just out of curiosity.
Yeah. This one is Swine and Dine. Eat Me.
Uh, I actually kind of like this one. I before I got into metal, I was like really into punk. Like I was into like I got into metal via Black Flag.
Uh-huh.
And this reminds me of a lot of like 1980s, hardcore, underground punk
Mhm.
stuff. So I'm gonna guess this one's real. I genuinely actually kind of like this one.
This is Fuzzed.
What? Oh, fuck
Yeah.
me. God
I got
damn it.
I got you on 2. That's it. Just 2.
Motherfucker.
You did great though.
Yeah. Dude, I really thought I was gonna bomb that. I was sweating blood about specifically that part of this.
Man, I felt like I brought the heavy hitters on that one, man. There were some good ones in there.
Yeah, I thought I kind of surprised myself. Now I won't get too much shit from Erica, even though I think she might be the champ of the
She
fuzz round.
Yeah, I think that actually the most recent one that I did with Thomas Yeager from Monolord,
Oh yeah, he was real
he
good.
he just got one wrong. But see, the difference was that I made a coffee one for him, and the difference
Yeah,
between coffee is that they can't be absurd because they're a product, whereas album covers can be completely absurd. So I can make absurd stuff to match it. Whereas
yeah,
like, it was like, I don't know, maybe the band does, maybe they don't. And it was just based off of like, do I think this band is at a level where they have their own coffee? So a little bit different rules on that, but he missed one. And Erica, I missed one. You missed 2.
Oh god damn it! I thought I tied her.
Maybe. I'd have to go
Ah
back and check,
man,
but I thought maybe she missed one.
I might have to go back just out of my competitive nature and check
Maybe
just
it
so that
was
I
2.
can.
Maybe. Could have been.
Yeah, I'll have to hit her up and be like, if she beat me by one, it's because I didn't wear a shirt and it's some kind of bad luck.
Yep. All right. So before we end the podcast, I know that you have a new single coming out. I
Yeah,
want to ask you about the new single. Tell me all about the single and what's going on with that.
dude, I'm really, 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 really excited about this one. The song is called Solus and Stellus. It's Latin. We were really struggling with the song title, and we were finally like, let's see what some different phrases sound like in Latin, and we were really about this one. But it's me and Astral Construct Project.
I know them.
Yeah, so it's Astral Construct Project on Instagram, but it's Astral Construct for on any streaming platform or anything like that. Astral Construct, if any of the listeners out there haven't heard his stuff, please go check it out. He's, in my opinion, a fucking genius, and I count him as a friend. And we were just kind of going back and forth, talking about a lot of stuff. we've been friends for a while. We've never actually met, but we're really tight. And just because of music and everything else, and having a lot of similar experiences and thoughts about things. And I had a riff essentially that I was like, I can't use this for Aiwass because it just didn't fit the sound. It sounded so different. But I believed in it, and so I sent it to him, and I was like, "Hey, would you want to try and do something a little different together and just see where it goes?" And he was 100% on board with it, and we kind of had the idea of like, hey, maybe we'll do something just for publicity, or just to kind of get some likes, just for fun, really.
Yeah.
But then it started to get really good. We weren't even gonna have it mixed or mastered or anything like that. We were just gonna put it out. And then it started kind of becoming one of those things of we'd send a section back and forth to each other, and suddenly we had an 8-minute song that's really it's like there's some Tool in there, there's some Pink Floyd in there, there's some Caius in there, and, it's riffy, it's spacey. There's a lot of we both flexed on guitar a little bit at certain points. And then my stepbrother, who does a lot of really amazing work for like major labels, mixed and mastered it, because we're actually going to give all the proceeds to the Scleroderma Foundation. Scleroderma is a really rare autoimmune disease which essentially causes hardenings of the organs, and it's generally fatal. It's not necessarily like a short-term fatal, but it's not curable. Like one of the key opening signs that a lot of times it's misdiagnosed as arthritis is your skin hardens, and so your hands are really tight, and so you feel like you have arthritis, and so it gets misdiagnosed a lot of the time. And that was actually what my mom passed away from complications of. And we knew from the start that if we released it on Bandcamp, that we were going to donate all the money to some charity, just because, for one, this is not necessarily the most profitable form of music, and for two, like, we just believed in kind of doing something good, something kind of nice. I think it's important to, if you have money to spare, sometimes give it to those in need. And so we finished the song. My stepbrother, Austin Seltzer, his handle is Seltzer Sounds. He's really a truly impressive musical mind in terms of how he approaches mixing and mastering.
Did he work on the album that you have out now?
No, he did not. I cannot afford his time, like even on a family discount. He did this one. He did this one especially as a favor and as part of his contribution. He does like Netflix trailers where he, his stuff is beyond my pay grade. Even with some friendly stuff, but it was his really, really generous donation to mix and master it for us, to really give it the sound that we were looking for. So I want to give him huge props for that. Great guy. And for any musicians out there, hit him up. If you can afford him, he's the best. So for me, it kind of feels like, in terms of friends, family, things like that, it feels like kind of an all-star collaboration. I really believe in the song. And I hope there will be more to come from Astral and I. I hope, I know that he and I both hope more than anything else that we can raise some money for a good cause.
And when is this coming out?
So it'll be premiered on Monster Riff on December 1st, and then it'll go live on Bandcamp Friday, December 3rd.
Cool.
So I'm really excited for it. You know, I'm working on a few different things right now, but you know, once I get over the surreal nature of having my album out, I'm going to be really excited about this single coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And the album, like I said, will be out when this drops. And you have vinyl out. Yeah, it's
Yes, sir, I do.
available for digital, obviously. And anything else you want to say about the new album?
Man, I just give it a listen with an open mind, and let me know what you think. I respond to DMs pretty religiously. Or I do my best to.
Yeah.
So fucking let me know what you think. If it connects with you, let me know. And if you're a vinyl head like me, give it a whirl and see if you like it. And
What
I'd
was it
love to
like
ship you one.
getting your music on vinyl, especially as a solo band and
Dude,
unsigned band? Like, what is it like getting your music on vinyl?
dude, it was fucking surreal. Like literally the apex of what I wanted was to hear what I could sound like on vinyl.
Yeah.
And I considered that like the ultimate win, you know. And hearing it was an emotional experience, you know. Like I actually being like, holy fucking shit, like I'm hearing my music on my preferred medium to listen to music.
Right.
Uh it's wild, dude, you know. And it's an expensive process. Luckily pre-orders are helping out, you know. And before my mom passed away, she gave me a little bit of money to be able to do it, to help out with the cost of everything. So it's a doubly emotional experience on that end, you
Yeah,
know.
sure.
But I'm really proud of it. I genuinely feel like I put a worthwhile piece of art out there, and I
I
hope
agree.
everyone enjoys it.
I did. I really appreciate your time, man, and I do love the album, and I hope everyone checks it out. And thanks for being here, man. It was cool to talk to you, and like I said, we could have went for probably another hour talking about our love of weird stuff, but
Dude,
round two,
whenever
we'll do a round two, man.
dude, I am in for a round two. Whenever you name the day, and I'll be there.
Right on. All right, man. Well, thanks for stopping by, dude, and we'll talk later.
Sounds great, brother.
Cool. See ya.